Believe it or not, today is December 30th, 2021. It's like 54 degrees outside. It's totally crazy how warm it is. So I got home from work early today and I'm off tomorrow for the holiday. So I'm going to, since it's a nice place like it's getting tomorrow, sunshiny and 55 all day. So I'm going to take all this ground cover off. The top two rows, that row and that row, will be tomatoes next year. So I'm gonna cut this one in the center. There's a yellow line right there, if you can see it in the camera. Yeah, right there you can see it good. I'm gonna cut it on that yellow line. So that'll give me my tomato rows. I'm gonna take all this up, get all the grass out of it. I'll probably use the skid steer that I rented from a place crossed over there. I actually drove it here from there. So I rented it for this weekend. I'd like to take it back over tomorrow afternoon sometime. I'd like to take it back. I can't have it the weekend. I just today and tomorrow is all. So yeah, we'll see how much time I have left. I may do more over on that. I may do more over there than what I'm planning on doing, but I want to get the compost spread in the main garden. That's the main thing, and get the weed. I'll just get them pulled out with the skid steer. So I'm going to show you how I cut this. I use a torch, but first I need to pull all the staples out of that row. Let me spin you around and show you what I'm talking about. I need to go through and pull all those because I'm going to cut it on this yellow line. I use a torch to cut it with, so that torch won't cut through that. So I'll have to go get my hammer and yank them out of there. Once I get those staples pulled out of this row here, then I'll get the torch out and cut it. And so, yeah, once I do that, then I'm gonna rip all this up, roll it up, and rip it up and roll it up. Okay, so there you see me cut 75 foot of woven ground cover in about 30 seconds. I wish, but anyway. So I just cut along the yellow line. If you notice, the yellow lines are crooked, and so is the cut. So, which is fine. So now I'm just going to go through and pull all the stakes out, and roll this up. The sun's getting bright right there in my eyeballs. So I'm just going to go through and pull it all up. And I'm going to pull the stakes out and get it all rolled up. I'm going to mark out one there so I don't forget which one it is. These stakes that we use in there, they're 8-inch stakes. These was actually this and the stakes and the woven ground cover all came from Grower Solutions. I'll put a link to their website in the description box. I think it's probably in there. I keep it in most of my videos because I buy a lot of stuff off of them. I buy a lot of stuff local with a local nursery supply place, but I buy a lot of stuff mail order. They're a nice little company out of Tennessee, but anyways, that's where I get a lot of this kind of stuff at. Okay, so I got the first row out. That, of course, and that will also be where the tomatoes go in the spring. Be 2 rows of tomatoes right here. So now I'm gonna take the rest of this ground cover up, and we'll come back through with the stirrup hoe and knock the tops off of them with the weeds. I may get the weed burner and rake it out good, and then probably load it in the bucket of the skid steer and dump it over here in the compost, most likely where it'll end up. So yeah, next thing I just need to pull all this up and then get the weeds pulled out and clean it up good. Just pulling some of this back, and all them worms that's there, that's a sign of healthy soil. There's a lot of worms in that. So You know, they're in between the two layers of ground cover. I got the one layer off, and the other layer, they overlap to this line right here. All them worms is in between, so you know there's a lot of them out through there. And that's just the first piece. I got another piece to take off yet, so each piece is 12 foot by 75 foot, so I got 2 more pieces to take off. So yeah, there's a lot of worms there. Kind of amazing. Just thought I'd share it. Okay, so I got the row cover all pulled out of there and folded up and segregated out, so I knew what piece was for the tomatoes and what piece was for the pumpkins and so on and so forth. So I got them all segregated out, so now I need to go through and take the stirrup hoe and pop the tops off the weeds that's in there, which there ain't many, just where the holes in the ground cover was. The weeds came up through after the tomatoes and peppers and whatever else came out. This ground here actually never was tilled at all. It never had. The only thing I did to it this spring, which was late this spring, I rented a sod cutter and took the sod off of it and actually put it. You can see a little bit of the ridge, and I've showed you in other videos. In other videos, I've showed you where the sod pile is that came out of here. That's all I did to it. You can see how loose that soil is, and I never did nothing to it other than that. I did put some compost and some organic fertilizers where the plants were growing, but other than that, it's native soil. And there's the worms and roly-polies and all the other organisms and whatnot in the soil. All the soil life ate the roots that was in there, so it actually looks like it was tilled, but it never was. So now I'm going to clean that up, put compost down, and I never will till this. There's some spots down through here. There's some spots that where our potatoes and sweet potatoes will grow. I'll broad fork those areas, but the rest of it I won't even fork it. I'll just let it like it is. I don't see no need in doing all that extra work, and I never seen it where it helped me get any better production on stuff. So I don't mess with the soil. In nature, the soil don't get tilled and turned over. Just what the worms and microbes take care of it. That's how I do it. I try to mimic nature as best as possible. I know I don't, because I don't grow a forest. I grow vegetables, so I know I don't, but I try to do it as best as possible. So yeah, I don't till, never have. Well, I shouldn't say never have. I used to, once in a while, but I never did like a lot of people do. There's been studies about tilling and not tilling and chemicals and not chemicals and all that, and I'll get into that in a video sometime in the future, but for right now, we're just gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna knock the tops off the plants, let the roots in the soil, rake the weeds out with the rake, put them in the compost pile, and spread compost. So. All right, it's the next day, about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's in the mid 40s right now, which is amazing because it's being December 31st, it's the last day of the year. So I worked till it was pretty dark last evening when I went in, which wasn't late, it was just dark. But I got all the weeds pulled that I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna go through right now with the skid steer and gather it up, shovel it in the bucket and bring it over and put it over in the compost. So after I get that done, then I'll put the compost down. So. Alrighty, I got all the weeds out of there, all that I'm going to get out. Anyway, it's pretty muddy in there. Of course, I knew it was going to be all the rain we just got the last couple days. I'm going to uncover the compost, move the wheelbarrow and all that out of the way, and I'm going to start getting it gathered up and taking it down there and putting it in. I just want to go straight in, straight back. I don't want to turn too much in there because I don't want to get it all muddier rather. One place I turned around down there, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but right there, so that's a pretty good rush just for me turning around down there one time. So I don't want to make a mess, but if I do, I do. It's a nice day. I gotta have that back. I gotta have that back by lunchtime. So I don't have a whole lot of time, but I have plenty of time, but I don't have a lot of time to clean up a big mess if I make one. So anyways, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna uncover and start putting it in, so. Do this one-handed, so I'm going to put this down. I can't hardly operate and film at the same time. So like I said the other day or whatever, I rented this skid steer. So even if it's not a rental, you need to, when you're done with it, you need to make sure you get all the dirt cleaned out. That stuff will freeze in there, and then it won't even spin. So I'm going to clean it all up. Well, not all of it. I'm just going to clean the dirt out of there and clean it out of the corner of the buckets and out of both sides of the track. So just make sure if you rent something, take care of it, just like it would be your own. Because next time you may not be able to rent it, or they might charge you more, or they might tell you to go somewhere. So just remember, take care of stuff. So here I am taking it back right down the Blacktop Road. It only goes right over there. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not. It's pretty sunny out and warm. I don't even know if you can hear me. But yeah, it's time to take it back. We're done with it for the day. That building right there. So it's not real far from the house. Probably 5 minutes in this thing. Alright, I got all the compost spread. Actually looks pretty good. I need to do some hand work in there. I need to drive stakes and lay out the beds and the walkways and all that. But that's neither here nor there. I'm way further ahead than I was planning on being at this time. Compost is pretty much gone. There's a couple wheelbarrow loads there. I need to rake it up. I need to rake it up and take care of it that way. I don't got the skid steer. I had to take it back. But yeah, it turned out pretty well. Pretty good. Got a pile right there. I put it there because the fence post was in the road. I couldn't just level it out, so that'll be enough to put it out. Yeah, so it actually turned out pretty well. I don't know. It's some places it's thick, some places it's not so thick. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. There's more than enough in there to make it better. To make it a better garden for sure, and it did really well last year. Also too, I never showed it, but I did take that up and pile up the sod down below. So I think for this video, this is pretty much going to wrap it up. So it was enjoyable running the skid steer somewhat. I don't know. I'm not a machine operator. Yeah, I'm not. There's some weeds in here I need to pull and whatnot yet, but I ain't worried too much about that either. So that's pretty much going to do it for this one. I need to go through and lay out, drive stakes in for where the beds will be and the walkways will be and all that. Stretch strings, and I'll shovel the compost out of where the walkways are and throw them in the beds. So that'll be sometime down the road. It's a little afternoon on New Year's Eve, so I'm not going to worry too much about it today. I'd like to, but we got company coming later on, and I don't want to be extremely exhausted when they get here, so I'm probably going to piddle around, do a few things here and there, and odds and ends, but probably not going to work on this a whole lot more than what I already have. So till we meet again, take care and God bless.